before, that's one of those, I believe it generally, like everything else, it depends, where it's like, Black
Labels can be...
Black Labels are the kind of, like, greatest hits, because no one likes the American PS1 greatest hits, because it's that really bright green. They're slightly cheaper, but I believe it's...
People? Well...
But, like I always make a joke about
well...
But because the Insane Trilogy is is divisive...
Before we jump in, it's not just the green labels that piss people off about greatest hits, it's the discs.
What's the difference with the disc?
Normally, standard issue PS1 games, the disc art is colored. Greatest hits are like almost always silver with like no color.
It will literally like either be running in the console or in the case. That literally does not matter. The case you can at least have on a shelf. You will actively be looking at the case. Unless you are one of those weirdos where you display all of your games in like a disc sleeve or something, so the shelf is basically a bunch of games in like a little like CD sleeve, so that you can see the... So
most greatest hits, they're all like that.
Just start the thing. I didn't know that because I never seen a PS1 greatest hits disc. Or if I did, that was years ago, because I don't know.
They rarely, if ever, have color. They're almost always, like, black and silver. Because it's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And the manuals are usually also cheaper. Where most original releases have full color manuals, and the manuals in the greatest hits are always monochrome.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest hits releases are budgeted to hell and back.
Clearly.
Okay, jumping in. I'm pretty sure we just did that knockout tour, I think. Because that should have been the one... Yeah. Because they go in opposite, so it should be back to the... Because we did the, like, knockout tour in one try. And I was like, oh my god. Yeah, because the fruit... Yep. Oh, Lord. I literally had that. I literally had that! I hate Mario Kart. I fucking hate fucking Mario Kart. I hate Mario Kart so much sometimes. If you get fucking RNG, you just lose.
Ow.
Basically lost to the one.
The funny thing is, King, who doesn't seem to be in first, so I wonder if...
He's right there! They're all...
I know he's right there, but I couldn't tell if he was rubber banding to first or not.
Damn it! Though what's funny about that, though, because I was experimenting by doing... that loss we had, I did drift a little bit more than normal, and that does still seem to be a thing, where if you are drifting, it does seem like the game is going to basically punish you. Because I was drifting a little bit more than normal, and all the dumb shit started happening.
Oh, hey, speaking of dumb shit.
Because that's also funny. I get a loss, and I don't do it in one try, and oh, I actually drift! I don't care what the one person says, I'm pretty sure drifting is still a mechanical thing if you're not drifting as much. That rubber banding gets worse. Because I'm drifting and I'm getting hit more, and the AI seems tougher. Yeah, I did drifting, and I'm getting hit out the ass. thankfully they're right here, but...
Because I think one of those shells actually went past you and hit King Boo.
I'm going to lose, though. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Whatever.
Because that course is actually primarily water, even outside of drifting. That's the one time where the sweaty substats we would
be fucking me over.
We would have a slight disadvantage.
There's always going to be some losses, but... in that one loss attempt, because I was just checking some prices for PS1 games, and the greatest hits versions of games are just infinitely cheaper. Because nobody wants the greatest hits versions of games. Bullshit, dude. Use that in a minute. Just see if I drift and I get points for it. I mean, to be fair, the AI is more reasonable because he's not nearly...
Well, there haven't been really a lot of items, so... It's not like the game would have had a lot of opportunities to throw something back at you because this straightaway actually hasn't had a lot of items on it. Oh, and then that just happened.
Good. Anyway, I was checking PS1 prices for physicals, and because no one likes greatest hits games, they're like infinitely cheaper, because there are a lot of people that I think are over dramatic that would rather have a black label because collecting turns into this weird sense of superiority where you just literally need to collect and you have to have like the bestest thing, and there are so many people in the collecting space. It's like, oh, you have greatest hits versions, those are awful, those don't actually count as good collector things. Because people have to have this artificial sense of superiority. Or you get the dumb, sweaty nonsense that amuses me of like, oh no, that version is usable for speedruns. You're an idiot. It's like, I'm not going to speedrun? Well, you're still an idiot. But, I can just talk about some stuff. Because I was just on that, like, I was in a stream, and I was talking about, like, yeah, and then I get the massive lead because of all this road. And that's an easy win. I was in a stream one time, I was talking about, we have a PAL copy of Billy Hatcher because it was cheaper, and the streamer was like, not a PAL copy, and I'm like, it was cheaper. Yeah, but you can't speedrun it. Most speedrun glitches are, like, paths. I'm like, I wasn't interested in speedrunning. Yeah, whatever, buddy. I'm just saying you can't speedrun it. Not everyone wants to speedrun. Some people just want to play a game.
I literally saw a video. I don't remember, like, I don't even remember who the guy was or what the video was entirely about. It was just one of those people that I call, I look at how much money I have YouTuber, because man had his, like, basically wall of, like, game collections, but behind him, as someone in a video called it, the wall of virginity.
Yes.
Basically that a guy, he was like one of those, I believe he was like, I have basically every I have every US NES game in box except Little Simpson. That's the only like reproduction cartridge I have.
There's that channel, and the guy has. Of course, hold on. Oh, bull fucking. We're all right here, but of course, of course, of course, of course, of course, of the fucking course.
Cow.
Oh, fucking shit, I had these. Mario Kart RNG! Look at the useless projectile items. Oh, come on! Yeah, and then I'm just going to lose. This is probably impossible to recover.
I was going to say, because of how far behind you were, it's one of those you're like, because of being in the lower places, if you
might be able to ask
if you get something like a Mega Mushroom and a like Bullet Bill or something.
Okay, to be fair, everyone's right here.
You would just need something really big like a Bullet Bill.
Not gonna matter though.
Or like a Mega Mushroom.
No, we've basically lost. Because I don't like Boost Cinema, because I'm going to drift too hard, and I'm going to... Actually... Oh, damn it! Right at the end!
Oh, hey.
The one time... Never mind. Cut some of that ranting.
That happened.
Because that's the thing about Mario Kart! Some of that ranting might have been muted. If I use this as a successful attempt, what I was going to say with the whole, like, greatest hits and collections and everything. Because, basically, and people, rightfully so, were giving this man crap. It was that other popular YouTube channel where for years he had all of these videos for years where he would go to like conventions and stuff and spend hundreds of dollars because he wanted every NES game. He wanted every NES game. He wasn't going for boxes or anything. He was going for every NES game. Some are boxed, some are not. He had some duplicates, but in general, he has every NES game. And for years, he would do these videos going to conventions. And the only NES game that this man does not have is Track and Field.
Of course.
But the thing is, like last year, he had a video about like, I got every NES game, and people were, you know, following this man for years. His Track and Field is a reproduction, and he was able to finally get the last game that wasn't Track and Field. And he has that last game. I'm gonna be risky, do this, so I can double idle. Because it's more likely. Yep. Literally just reversed. Doesn't matter. So basically, man. Alright. That's just Kimbo. I could still win this. Especially because this is all dirt. Yeah. Basically, man. Alright. Throw those. This is all cobblestone, so it's all regular road.
And King Boo's right
Here.
there, and we're at 3 of 4, not 4 of 4.
4, because you go. Fuck you,
Ah.
bud. And if I start seeing a blue shell, I can basically.
You can drop the bananas to.
Yes. So, dude basically doesn't have track and field. It's a reproduction. And he had a video, like, last year. I got every NES game. And some people are like, my man, it's like, we know your track and field is a reproduction. And it's, like, so funny, given the weird nature where people are like, you were willing to spend thousands of dollars, and you basically spent all this damn money, and track and field is out of your reach, and people, sort of rightfully so. Oh, it's right here anyway. 2 tries, not that bad. 2 tries, not that bad. Literally! Okay.
Dude, I don't want to entirely justify dumb, like, people being dumb, but to be fair, track and field is a very specific case.
Yes! It is.
Because for the people that...
No, hold on. We can talk about that and not ramble on too much. Track and field is a very specific case.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. But... But...
Because what makes it's specific for the people that don't know, it was originally, basically, it was released as track and field and was released by, I believe it was Bandai.
Yes.
Because they were the ones that made that, like, track map for the NES. Nintendo liked that so much, they literally bought the rights to the game and the map, and then I believe reprinted it as basically stadium events. It is literally...
And the, like, power pad or whatever, yes.
It is literally
the same game.
All that is different is a title screen and copyright, that is it, and because of this, Nintendo scooped it up so much, I believe it was believed that they only produced track and field copies for like 2 months.
Yes! And it is a very specific, pointless case, but rightfully so, you do not claim, oh, I have every NES game. Except then, oh, big man with all his big money. Oh, no, my track and field is a reproduction. It is what it is. Sorry, guys, we can't win them all. It's like, so many people are like, no, you do not have the fucking right to claim you have every NES game, and you cop out because even you don't want to spend the money, even though people are like, you spent money left and right on everything else.
Because, for, again, people that know, if everything else is legitimate...
Yes, they are.
That means this man has a legitimate Little Simpson.
Yeah.
And that one Flintstones
Yep,
game.
basically.
Because...
apparently his only reproduction is track and field.
Because that is the most expensive...
Even if it was loose, everything else is legit.
Because track and field is the most expensive NES game.
Yes! But motherfucker has everything!
I didn't say I was entirely justifying it. I was just pointing out it literally is the most expensive.
And I think you should continue to rake this man over the coals.
Dude.
Because, no, motherfucker, you do not get to claim that you own every, like, officially released NES game, and you cop out on a reproduction. Track and field is just, like, too rare and too expensive for my blood. Motherfucker, watching you over the years, as people sort of rightfully, in all of his videos, even if he was lowballing, it's like, yet, every other convention, like 500, 1,000, like 3,000, like just thousands and thousands and thousands. Oh, yeah, and then you look at like track and field, where someone at a convention has it for like $20,000. Yeah, guys, I can't be spending $20,000 on an NES game. Yet you've collectively spent like piecemeal well over like 20 fucking grand because you have that Flintstones game and Little Samson, you dick.
And every other rare NES game.
We need to stop.
Yes.
2 tries. I think that was 2. Because I lost right at the end with the King Boo, and then, yeah, we did the 1 reset, so it's just the two, and then I probably muted some of my ranting, but, like, instead of just talking about what we had been talking about, that was just on my mind, and, like, comparing some prices, because I do find it funny, because I was just checking some retro games, and it's so funny that this just disdain for, like, greatest hits copies, even though a bunch of other people in the collecting space that are not total assholes are like, if you wanted to just play the damn game, greatest hits versions are fine.
Because this was NFL recording, I will agree. I do think, like, every greatest hits looks like ass. The only ones that I think...
No, I was going to talk about... No, I do kind of agree the coloring is awful, but if we're being semantic and you just want a physical copy to play, greatest hits versions are generally cheaper and fine because they're less desired. Because people have to throw around, like, oh, I have a Black Label version. My version is better. Or what I was talking about, where I said in this, I can just finish some thoughts and end off. I said in the stream, like, oh, I had a PAL copy of Billy Hatcher and the streamer, not a PAL copy. And I'm like, it was cheaper. Yes, but you can't speedrun it. I'm like, I'm not interested in speedrunning. And the dude kind of had this huffy, whatever, but you can't. I'm just saying your copy's not speedrunnable. I'm like, I don't care. And dude just got like, not speedrunning Billy Hatcher? Then why the fuck are you playing it? Kind of energy. It's like, not everyone wants to speedrun. Some people just want to play a damn game. And that's what's so fucking funny to me. To finish off, is like, oh, fucking speedruns. Oh, no, this copy's bad because you can't speedrun it. Okay, what if I never want to speedrun it? Well, then you're an idiot. Because I have seen so many people do that. Like, they'll talk about, like, a greatest hits. But why the greatest hits version? They patched the speedrunning glitch. No, you can't do your any percent runs. Because I'm not going to do an 80% run? Well, fuck you, buddy!
I've literally seen people point out using speedrunning glitches to skip the bad part of a game.
Now, to end off, because we need to stop. Yes. Now, with that said, I can meet in the middle. If you learn a speedrunning glitch, and it does let you skip problematic parts of a game, I've casually picked up some speedrunning glitches for that reason, because you can skip some bad parts. But in general, if you're going through and collecting old, like, retro games and shit, greatest hits versions on, like, the PS1 are cheaper. And if you're just casually playing the game and you don't care about speedrunning, they're usually easier to find, and not all speedrun things are often patched out of greatest hits versions anyway. It really does depend. I just thought that would be a slightly different topic than railing on the same stuff, because I was just looking at retro games, because we're probably going to start collecting for, like, the PS1 and stuff soon. Because me and Carson like to physically own things, because I'm not just going to pirate. I'm going to hold that rule. We are basically going to get physical games. Even though everyone, including Sean, which was funny, he's like, you're buying used PS1 games? You're an idiot. You're about to spend a chunk of money when it's easy to find all the games for free. And if you know where to look, trustworthy sources have the games, like, archived and are completely, like, virus free, and it is just a, like, game ROM, or just an ISO, or just insert format here. It's like, if you know where to look, they're not that hard to get. Why would you spend money on, like, old PS1 discs and stuff? You're dumb. because I don't want to just massively download a bunch of games. And I would rather own my own games than start searching around on certain ROM sites where even if the ROMs and stuff are fine, a bunch of those sites often have malware infused in certain pages. So sometimes, even if you're smart and you know where to look, oh, this ROM is completely fine, it's not a Trojan horse, but oh no, the site that it was hosted on has some kind of weird, like, Trojan background program, especially because, and I love the hypocrisy from a bunch of those sites, where those sites will allow ads, and a bunch of sites that host, like, ROMs or, like, TV shows and stuff, like, and no, this is TV and not video games, like, I haven't thought about that site in a while. I think it's not the point. That site hosts a bunch of basically like pirated TV shows and movies and stuff, but they play ads to make money, and they will fight you tooth and nail over an ad blocker, and they won't like ban you, but if you have like an ad blocker, you'll get like a pop-up about like, oh, we need AdSense in order to run the site. Please disable your ad blocker to continue using the website. And it's like, oh, you're hosting all of this, like, free crap. And people know that site hidden in a bunch of those ads is a bunch of malware. And actually, to avoid potentially promoting piracy, if people are going to be semantic, because I mentioned that site by name, I might literally just mute the name of the website, so instead of saying it, it will be, I just, like, cut it. So if there's a weird me cutting the audio in its entirety, I did that to avoid things, but it was basically, that site had like some TV shows and movies and stuff, as many piracy sites do, but they were big on, oh, disable your ad blockers, and I just find that funny, because a bunch of websites like that will hide malware in ads, not in like the downloads. Oh yeah, this ROM is fine, but they had an ad on like a illegal ROM hosting site, and that ad is a Trojan horse ad, so it contains malware. And a bunch of those websites are also freakishly unsecure, where sometimes just accessing that site is enough, where some Trojan host, when someone links to the website, you'll just pick up a Trojan virus. But I do need to end off, because this went well enough, and I probably will just redact the one website name, just mute the audio, then you won't know, because I don't want to ever, and I'm doing air quotes a little bit, promote piracy. And if we're going to promote piracy, you just need to acknowledge that you did some piracy, and not stand on a soapbox and hit me with that moral grandstanding nonsense. Final point, I'm ending off. It is not simply about archival and preservation. It is people want free shit. If you did piracy, just call it piracy, and I'm not going to basically attack you. If you can just admit it's piracy, I don't have a problem, because this is all I want people to do. If you're downloading video games and stuff for free, or movies or TV shows, don't make this some soapbox-worthy moral grandstanding. Don't hit me with the, it's just archival, it's just preservation. Admit you're stealing stuff. and admit you're stealing stuff, often because retro prices or bullshit, or something is not, or something is obscure and not inherently available, even if the people involved still technically hold copyright and trademark. A video, I guess, final point, since I do like rambling. Sorry, but it was just on the top of my head. Because there's a video talking about preservation and stuff, and how we're at a point now where just basic emulation sold commercially, like emulators that are like collections, are basically often viewed as, oh, it's just like a PS1 game, or oh, it's just an old game. And the video basically pointed out, like, he straight out admitted, oh yeah, I've downloaded a bunch of like PS1 games and stuff because I live in Europe and NTSC games are faster than their PAL equivalents. So I wanted a bunch of NTSC games, but the retro prices on like eBay and stuff are super fucked, so I can't afford thousands of dollars to own a game legally. And if it's a game I'm only like slightly interested in, or a game I own like a PAL version of, I will just, pirate it. And he's like, I'm not going to inherently call out anyone doing piracy. If you feel like you have to, that is kind of your business. But he's like, let's not mince words here. We are doing piracy and stealing, and just admit it. But anyway, that horrible ramble out of the way. I'm gonna do my outro stuff super fast. I just had to go off with that. So, stealing the one guy's joke again, because I'm going to keep doing that. I am basically the, like, vagabond on the street corner, shaking my cup full of change. Could you spare a like? Maybe comment and subscribe, please. Spare a like. Just jingling my cup. Likes and comments also accepted. Subscriptions are great too. Like, no joke, subscriptions help the algorithm, so the whole like, comment, and subscribe bullshit does help, and I will constantly call that desperate shilling, but I only do that at the end of recordings, so I don't even do that in every video. But if you did enjoy the video or any of our other videos, that helps tremendously. In the pinned comment and the video description are a bunch of social media links. Yes, some of those sites are cesspools, but you can follow me on those websites. That helps our communities grow. I'm casting a wide net so that our channel can easily be noticed. Again, you have to basically do that or no one can find your stuff. Mixed in with the social media links is a Patreon link. It's under my name. Lowest tier is $1. You get videos early. Other tiers should be self-explanatory. I would rather be poor than nickel and dime people, but I was looking at some hard drives and a UPS battery backup and some other small items. Money would be helpful. Then I could throw some extra money back at the channel, but don't feel obligated. But again, every dollar helps. So now with all the shilling done, I can end off properly. This has been the 150cc Leaf Cup video. I only needed to cut once, so that's not too bad. And I dodged all the blue shells, so that's great. Probably cut out some ranting in the Boo Cinema part because I was just absolutely fucking pissed. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope I will see you all next time. So as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. I hope you come back someday. See you later. it's time for the question of the day and my overall thoughts on the topic. So anyway, I thought this topic would be quick and interesting and maybe a bit controversial, but I technically have two questions, but both of the questions are intertwined. So let's start with the slightly less controversial of the two, even though this is controversial in its own right. How many of you basically agree with the point I was making about greatest hits copies of PS1 games? This can also apply to the greatest hits equivalents on other consoles, but I was looking up PS1 games at the time because so many people basically will tell you, oh, those are not real games. Those are not real things to collect. You're collecting the worst thing. Those have no value. You should own black labels, except there are a few greatest hits copies that are super rare and valuable because they were late releases. Resident Evil 3 is actually a funny example because the greatest hits version is actually seen as more collectible because it's the rare copy. And Spyro had that one thing where I believe it was the third game was rushed out. So if you have a black label copy of Spyro 3 because it was rushed, that game actually doesn't play as well because it's a game with an error. And the greatest hits versions and some other re-releases, because there is that Spyro collection where they put all three PS1 Spyro games in a little collector bundle. Those are basically based off the greatest hits, but that late release also fixed the bug. So from a playable perspective, I feel like a lot of people will tell you you would want the greatest hits because the game is less buggy, since the one bug, if I remember right, the music gets fucked up, but I'm kind of getting off topic here. I'm just trying to explain my point. From a collection perspective, if you're collecting secondhand and you just want to play the damn game, that basically is a perfectly valid thing to get. Black Label are fine, and when Black Label are available and not crazy ass expensive, Black Label are fine, but I do feel like we need to get over this stink of collecting the reprints, unless you're trying to do a speedrun glitch in a game and it was patched out in a later revision. It generally does not matter, and if you just want to play the damn game, I feel like it's fine, and casually a lot of people just want to play the damn game. And also with the PS1 era, unless something was truly game breaking, most later revisions didn't patch out bugs and glitches because at the time a lot of that stuff was not super well known or documented. I don't want to ramble, but I do think this quantifies my point. So a lot of PS1 games specifically, later revisions are generally just as glitchy as early revisions, unless a glitch was tied to something that the devs noticed when they did a re-release and they went back in and cleaned up some code. Otherwise, even greatest hits are generally pretty good, and most, if not all, glitches work. And then you have cases like the one Spyro game, I think it was 3, where the music in the Black Label version is notorious for basically being bugged and not playing, and some other sound effects and stuff. And they fixed that. And a lot of greatest hits versions are later re-releases anyway. So a lot of games are newer. So if you're trying to collect a more stable disc, since people will overreact about disc rut, some older copies might be more unstable. Because generally, greatest hits copies for the PS1 seem fine, but I've kind of rambled on this long enough. I just wanted to see if people agreed with me, because wholeheartedly, if you just want to play the damn game, fuck that shit. This is why I went on that little speedrunning tangent, because not everyone wants to fucking speedrun. Some people just want to play a damn game, and trying to get Black Label is pointless elitism in a lot of cases, unless you know you need an early release to do a speedrun glitch. But if you don't care about speedrunning, which a lot of people don't, it's fine, and this applies to other consoles as well. But we were talking about the PS1, because I'm starting to try to collect for the PS1, and I realized a lot of games I was interested in collecting, greatest hits copies, are cheap and plentiful, and I could find a greatest hits copy super easily. And if I really do not care, and I'm just trying to play the video game, I will just collect it because it's cheaper. And if anyone's like, oh, why are you collecting those? You're dumb. I'm going to say, because on the aftermarket, I wanted legitimate physical copies, and the prices of Black Label are pointless when I'm just trying to play the damn game. So, there's that. But with that said, let's move to the second question, which I know is the more controversial question, since I was also sort of, talking about that. But how many of you agree with my overall stance on why I'm not going to just go download stuff? Because I still do not trust doing that, since even the most trusted sites often contain malware, and I still don't trust that every ROM hosting site, even if they're hosting ISOs and other formats and stuff, because different game systems are different formats. You get my semantic point. I do not trust that every fucking game on all of these sites has been vetted and tested and approved, and that they do not contain malware, and that they're not some dodgy rip, because popular games are usually safe, and in a lot of cases you would realistically have probably a good 90 to 99% chance of any popular game being fine, because popular games are usually super tested and safe. Because on the PS1, as an example, every fucking person ever wants to play a game like Symphony of the Night, or the Resident Evil games, the PS1 Spyro games, the PS1 Crash games. So those games are generally safe and generally tested and generally not dodgy. And even on the PS1, certain slightly lesser known games are often decently likely to be okay, like that Toy Story 2 game that everybody loves, and the Bugs Life game they made before that. The PS1 has a vast library, and this applies to other consoles as well, and I don't want to ramble, but like, not every game is a super popular, well-known choice, but just because it's not popular doesn't mean it's a bad game. It could be a game only released in one region, or it could be a game that released everywhere that not a lot of people bought, especially if it's a late era release. And obscure nonsense is often the reason you might want to download a random game online, because obscure stuff is usually the hardest to get a hold of legitimately. But that's what concerns me, because there are plenty of well-known games that are obscure, rare for one reason or another, and generally only talked about by a few people. And those are not games that I think are going to have the highest quality rips and stuff or dumps. Those are the games I'm scared of, because realistically, a lot of those games are probably copies that were ripped and dumped years ago, and not everyone has access to these games. So a lot of people are not going to update an archived version of these games. They're just going to perpetually host some rip from like 20 plus years ago. And that's a serious problem, because random, obscure, expensive nonsense is often the stuff that is the least likely to be vetted, because someone who ripped a game like over 2 decades ago, people, if they archived that rip, that will be the rip that spreads around online. And older ways to rip and dump games often means a rip or a dump is less likely to be super stable, but obscure nonsense is basically the least likely to ever get updated, and in a lot of ways is the most likely to actually contain viruses and malware. Because, yeah, you could say, oh, why would you put a virus or malware in some obscure ass random PS1 game that almost nobody's heard of? Because that's the game that is more likely to be downloaded out of necessity, because even an expensive ass random popular game could still be something that someone is willing to buy. But a lot of those pale in comparison to the fringe nonsense. But I do need to wrap this up. And of course, you would put a virus or malware in an obscure, hard to come by game that is crazy expensive, even if it's not a bad game, just because it's a rare release. And a lot of times, that's how you get people. You could have a virus in an obvious game. Oh, everyone wants to play Symphony of the Night, and its aftermarket prices are dumb, but you pick the most obscure, random nonsense. No one is generally going to vet that, because a lot of people are not going to play obscure nonsense. But that's kind of the reason to download games, because those are the games that are usually the most expensive, because small random releases that are not well known, only a few thousand copies tend to float around, meaning eBay usually only has like maybe a few at any given moment. But I've been rambling for almost 15 minutes. I just think it's ridiculous that even Shine effectively gave me crap, all because I dared to not download stuff. And while it rarely happens, I will scream this warning one time, and then I'm doing the final outro part. Your internet provider does have every right to basically ban your ass from their service when you use their service and access a site that is deemed illegal. And if your service provider gets caught up in bullshit because a company knows you downloaded something you shouldn't have, they will bring the wrath of God upon you, and they will do so because they need to avoid liability. You accessed an illegal service using their, service, they're going to ban your ass, and they're going to help sue your ass. This has happened, and Sean and so many other people act like I just fearmonger that, but no, they reserve the right to basically ban you from using their service, and they do that because they want to avoid responsibility of being the reason you were able to download, whatever media you're downloading, because it is copyright infringement and piracy. But this is going to make this video so much longer. I just have to go on that tirade because I'm not basically going to commit crimes that could bite me in the ass in the long run. Anyway, you can leave your thoughts, opinions, and answers in the comments, or you can leave them on social media. All of my social media links, as well as my Discord links, are in the video description. Now, as always, I need to be a shill for a minute if you subscribe to the channel. If you follow me on social media, that really helps our communities grow. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope I will see you all next time. So as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. I hope you come back someday. See you later.